Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Ilona. And
Thank you.
really great to be here. It's always a bit kind of like nervous to arrange these kind of like events when you really don't know how things will go in the end. But kind of like listening to all the like presentations today, I think it's been kind of like I've at least like enjoyed a lot. It's been really like thought-provoking. And then now we have kind of like 25 minutes until beer and pizza. And my task now is to summarize everything that we hear today in a thoughtful way. And so the good part is that if you've been kind of like looking at like the personalized Instagram feed so far, like for the whole day, now it's kind of like, now you can still kind of learn what we talk today. And can I get the presentation? Yes. And so the topic today is like for now is like personalization in digital commerce, and really the message is like stop overthinking and get going. And well, I'm talking here on behalf of like 150 Columbia roadies here, so kind of like that's like the message like coming from all us, and the thinking is like from all us. But who am I? Well, I've been at Columbia Road for 7 years. Have been seeing and doing like all types of projects from strategy to architecture to kind of like operational models around digital commerce and really kind of like hands-on growth hacking and this and that. And at the moment I'm in a shared responsibility of the whole business, so growth hacking that. 2 data points about myself. I have a wife and I like skiing. And actually a third one. I'd like to start the whole presentation with my father. This is my daddy, Heikki. And I'm a bit surprised that I'm actually starting it with my father for 200 people. But what I'm doing is that like my father has been all through his career a salesperson. And he's always like to talk about like a lot about those things. And like what I learned, or what he was telling when we were living in Sweden, I still remember. He was kind of traveling around the whole country in the sales meetings and trying to sell office furniture to different people in different cities. And he was telling to me like one morning that, hey, Eero, today I'm going to Skellefteå, which in my understanding is a town in northern Sweden, right? Yeah. And that's like a huge ice hockey town. And the contact there is like, he really likes ice hockey. So he always checks the ice hockey results before going there, so he can like connect with the person, have the like shared kind of like ground for discussion and so on. And I guess that's been kind of like what personalization has been for the past 2,000 years. Really simple. Try to somehow get the empathy, get in the like other person's position. And then today we have this. This is from wish.com, which is kind of like a Chinese like web shop which sells affordable goods. And as it like the copy text here says that, I don't know if everybody sees, but it says your ears will get pregnant. Tempting, I guess. I don't know. Might be interesting to find out what it means, but I didn't buy the product, but the 2,961 person liked it for some reason or another. But like what point with like wish.com is that the whole philosophy behind the whole company is that data overrides everything. Like a person, if you have a like opinion that let's not put that copy text there, that person is wrong. Data is right, and apparently it provides results. So that's like how it goes. So then, if you think about like the scale of personalization, it's something between Heikki, my father, and something between wish.com today. And maybe my question for you now is kind of like, who'd rather be like from these opposite, because you need to be in the opposite, who'd like to be wish.com, your company to be wish.com rather? 0. And raise your hands if you want. And then who would want to be like your company be more like my father? Yeah, majority, and some people who can decide. So this is kind of like the spectrum of personalization nowadays. And then we still, if you look at future, like what does it like hold in the future? And for example, in 2028 or 30 or like something like that, here we have a customer, and the customer interacts with a company through a touch point. and when the person like would come to the touch point, is it kind of in future like possible that exactly in that moment, like the machine or like touch point, or like whatever creates like all images, all copy texts, all product recommendations, the pricing, and even the user interface exactly personalized, tailored for that like particular occasion at that part of time. Basically, if you look at what's happening in personalization right now and the AI right now, somehow sound like this might be kind of like the big picture future vision we are heading. And then, I don't know, it might sound a little bit scary or tempting, kind of like a little bit both at the same time. But at least it's scary in the sense that how do we get there? Or should we get there, of course, is the other question. And that's kind of like what we are going to discuss now. And how to make it happen. And basically, as I'm a consultant, I have a framework for that. There's 3 different areas like you would need to be defining. It's the direction, of course. It's like strategy and which involves strategy and culture and basically the whole transformations journey. And I think, for example, Lyko was really like well, Tom was describing today this area. And I think Frederick also, like from the Nordea point of view, kind of like what's the big picture, how to make all these things happen, and so on. Then, like when you know, okay, what's the direction, then of course you have the kind of like foundation, something on top of which you can build kind of all these personalization and amazing digital commerce use cases. And I think, like, for example, Jarno's Marimekko presentation was really well, like today, describing how you get from the strategy to kind of like to the philosophy of building the foundations. And finally, of course, like what do you do with strategy and foundation if you are not getting kind of like daily business impact, which is really about these cross-functional teams. And I think before me, Erik was really well discussing this area, and I think like Jaime, like the AI is of course like impacting all of these, and I think Unique were kind of like describing the whole thing, like providing all of us quite a tough baseline for where you could get with this all these areas here. Kind of like you rose the bar quite high for us. Let's try to get there. So how to get there really? Let's explore each of these one by one. And starting with the strategy. And for the strategy, of course, there's like a lot of things you could be defining there, but maybe kind of from today even, and like from our perspective, maybe the kind of like primary consideration is like what's really your angle towards personalization. Probably everybody shouldn't be wish.com or kind of like have this doing everything at the same time that we'll be learning today. So really defining the angle. And here we have 4 examples what it could be. It could be like many other things. Of course, we have the wish.com mentioned already. One angle, like data, is really the like king or queen of everything. But then really the opposite point of view would be, for example, Ben and Jerry's. And I think the curious thing about Ben and Jerry's is that when there's like quite often when there's been these surveys about different brands, Ben and Jerry's have kind of like come up as like the brand that somehow feels most personal to individual persons. Somehow it feels personal. Why is that? Surely it's not because of like really kind of like all the time using data here and there. It must be really more about like the storytelling. And it must be really more about probably it's about the product as well. It's this comfort ice cream that you eat probably in the situations which are somehow can be emotional for you or something like that. So it doesn't be too much, to get into the personalization, doesn't need to be like too much fancy stuff either if you're doing it right from the branding point of view, for example. My opinion about Ben and Jerry's is that they ruined ice cream. Then we have this really different point of view, which could be, for example, Finnish tax authority. Or actually, I would say actually quite a few B2B companies might have a little bit like similar approach, at least in some sense towards personalization. And there it's kind of like not really that much about the commercial impact part. Of course, we want to all get as much taxes to Finland as possible, don't we? But like there is about how to make the whole transaction with the official as smooth as possible. Or if you think about, for example, a B2B company, it's really if you come to the portal, you see exactly those products that you like order several times a day or a week, and you might want to have exactly those things there, and it's about easiness. And finally, kind of like maybe a bit more kind of like feet to the ground approach from wish.com is like Zalando. And from that I have like personal experiences like how personalization should be done right. And it's my wife used to work at Zalando. She got 30% discount of the clothes there, and that's why I bought all my clothes from Zalando. And which ended up that I had the app in my hand, and then when I was looking for something, I was tagging things that I liked, and in the end I chose like one of the things that I tagged. And they got a lot of data about me. And then the other day, I needed to buy new sneakers. I went again to the Zalando app, scrolled through, it was exhausting, scrolling through like 1,000 products, 2,000 products or whatever, and then finally came to the conclusion that I want exactly these like sneakers. And then I realized that, oh no, those were in the first view of Zalando application. And that's kind of like how it should be working, I guess. And then I was thinking, okay, what's the data you need for that from me? Probably it's just kind of like brand preference, style preference, and color. 3 data points could easily be, I think, enough for that. But maybe the key here, probably this is not overarching. I think Lyko has quite a nice approach to this, like personalization as well. But it's find your own way of how to doing that. Then you can think about the foundation after that. Or you can think about that before that, or maybe you should start just making money before even this. But like the foundation is important part for the long term. And probably what I'm gonna tell here might be really familiar or like basic stuff for many of you. But maybe my message here is that all these kind of like future scenarios of personalization, the architecture diagrams, or should I choose that product or that product, that can be kind of scary and complex, and it can be difficult to approach it. So let's try to make it as simple as possible at first. So we ensure that everybody, when we are walking out of here, we kind of like understand, okay, this is personalization from a technical point of view. And really the easiest step of personalization. You have front end, you're plugging in a personalization tool or another tool that provides personalization functionalities, and voila, you're able to do behavior-based personalization in the front end. That's simple, but probably we want to do more, but that's a good starting point. Next up, actually, I think all e-commerce platforms or CMS systems, or most of them at least, and A/B testing tools or search tools, they already have like a lot of these personalization functionalities in place already. So why wouldn't you like use them at first when you start experimenting? Or while you're experimenting something else, like you can use like these on another channel. It doesn't have to be perfect, like from the get-go. And then after this, it starts to get interesting or exciting, but complex at the same time. When you're able to then plug in the customer data, which goes sometimes with the abbreviation of CDP, when you're able to plug in the customer data into a personalization tool, then only that point, then you're kind of like able to provide really kind of like customized, tailored experiences based on like customer behavior. So that's kind of like where many companies are heading towards, or like building, or they have done it already like a long time ago. And that's after that is when like at latest when the complexity start. You want to probably add some content there after that, and add marketing automation, like whatever after that. Then you have integration platforms, all enterprise level personalization tools, and all these things at the same time. And that's complex. But luckily these are kind of like these steps in between that could make it easier to approach. And then we have the AI that you can. How that affects everything, it's still to be seen. But at least there's like many interesting experiments on that. So far strategy and finding your focus, and it's about kind of like building the foundation. Last but really not the least, how to make commercial impact out of personalization. And the keyword here is experimentation, as we've learned. And this is like meme that our Julie made one day here to describe like how she's been feeling sometimes about kind of like companies and the approach to personalization is that like when you want to start doing personalization, it's so tempting to start doing everything. There's so many things that you can do. Let's get all the data that we can have into our data system, and then you do that and you start trying to do that, and oh shit, it's complex. We are not getting everywhere, and that's kind of like typically really the challenge. How to find the balance of doing exactly the right things at the right time and not doing everything at the same time. And this has been like traditional way of then like building the capabilities, the waterfall. You collect the data that can, or like set up in the database that can take 1 to 3 years. You enrich it, like that's 1 more year. And then when you have time to monetize it, it's like 4 or 5 years already like gone, and then your company's already dead. Hopefully not. But then kind of like the other approach could be kind of like somehow trying to do all those things at the same time. Monetizing it, enriching it, and collecting it on the same go. And I think we have a couple of examples for this soon. But to really kind of like what we want to change the mindset here is from the approach to like think that we need to collect all the data and then use it, into the mindset of like, let's really think how can we monetize the existing data today that we already have. And at the heart of that, as Nick and Eero already like were describing, is experimentation. That's kind of like really at the heart of personalization, and everything else is kind of like built around that. And here we have now kind of like 3 simple examples around the experimentation part. How to really make business impact out of like customer data or like whatever data. And as our clients don't like usually want to kind of like disclose their commercial details, we have this like made up brand called Be Safe here. But all these examples that we have been using like 1 data point, work done in weeks, and we've been like doing similar things like for many clients. And first example. Here, the only data point we have is like the online behavior, and the objective was to increase conversion. And we did the really like simple things. Based on the cookie data, we added this kind of like continue card, or like if you had earlier added something to the card, we based on cookie data saw that, okay, you have added it earlier to the card, let's put this kind of thing there where you can continue from the card later on. And if your like company has like high volumes, that's actually quite a big impact can be. And then like work was really done in a couple of weeks here. Easy. Again, 1 data point, work done in weeks. Here, the data point was purchase history, which is I think like probably the most typical use case like for starting to do personalization, the first starting point. Again, here we have kind of like a customer portal of this like made up insurance company. And when they get there, like you are again like promoting them like product that could be fitting for the person if they have that product. 1 product already in place, something that you can like upsell and buy more. And it was done manually. Kind of like if these people have these products, like let's offer these like the things for them like the first. And again, in a few weeks, big business like commercial impact. Just 1 data point. And the third and final example is, this is an AI example now. So how to use kind of like demographic information. Here the demographic information was a person's title and the company they was working in. And the objective was to build loyalty. And this is an onboarding message. Like when the person like onboards to like service, like have started to purchase service, let's try to make it like immediately feel personal. So like they like get at like they start to feel positive about the brand in the get-go. And then this is like having like the AI provided like the customers like the message based on the copy text, and yeah, or the like person's profile, and yeah, this is what happened. And actually what we did now, and what you should be having already in your inbox, is the same thing. A summary of like today's presentations, customized based on your kind of like title that you provided for us and the company you will be working in. So if you still have been looking at Instagram like for the whole day, you still have like final chance to like figure out what we've been talking about here today. All right. So there's like 1 minute between beer and pizza and these discussions. What are the 2 things that me and we at Columbia Road here like would want to remember and think about when you kind of like go upstairs for the after party, which hopefully is like the Lyko type of after party. Let's make it like this Lyko lounge party. We need to invite the dancers and all those there. But 2 things that we want to remember. The first thing is, what are the 2 data points that will provide you and your customers the most value that you already have or you should be having? And then let's try to make business impact out of that. And the last point is like a good thought to have. Like visiting a good website should be like talking to a good salesperson. That's maybe the ultimate goal of personalization, making all websites and digital touchpoints more like my father. Thanks.